The desert stretched endlessly under a pale orange sky. Wind swept across the sands, carrying fine grains that glittered like tiny stars. Commander Rian stood at the edge of a dune, his eyes fixed on a strange glow far below. He had seen many planets in his career, but nothing like this. The light flickered like a flame trapped inside the ground. "Do you see that, Mara?" He called to the scientist beside him. Mara adjusted her goggles, shielding her eyes from the sun. "It's a tomb," she said, her voice a mixture of wonder and caution. "I've never seen anything built like this. The energy readings are unusual." Rian frowned. "Unusual how?" "The scanners don't detect any conventional power source," Mara replied. "Yet it glows as if it has its own life. It's like a fire that never goes out." The team of 4 explorers climbed down the dunes carefully. Their boots sank into the hot sand with every step. Behind them, their ship gleamed like a silver jewel, its engines humming softly. They had traveled for months to reach this distant desert world, following rumors of ancient ruins. They had expected stone walls, broken statues, maybe even alien inscriptions. But what they found was something far more mysterious. When they reached the tomb, the air seemed warmer. The glow came from cracks in the stone, running like veins along the surface. The entrance was shaped like a crescent, and strange symbols were carved around it. Mara knelt to study them. "These markings, they are human," she said slowly. "But they are unlike anything in our history books. It's as if they were written for people who had already seen the stars." Rian touched the surface lightly. The stone was warm, not hot, and the glow responded to his fingers, brightening slightly. He pulled back, a chill running through him. "It feels alive," he whispered. A sudden voice made the group jump. "You should not be here." They turned to see a figure approaching across the sand. He wore loose, flowing clothes, and his skin was the color of the desert dusk. His eyes were dark and deep, watching them carefully. "I am Talik," he said. "This tomb is sacred. It burns for a reason. You humans should leave before it chooses you." Rian stepped forward. "We are explorers, not thieves. We mean no harm. Why does it burn?" Talik shook his head slowly. "The flame is older than you can imagine. It chooses who may enter. Many have tried. Few have returned. The desert is patient, but it will test those who walk inside." Mara tilted her head, curiosity shining in her eyes. "Test how?" she asked. "By facing what you fear most," Talik said. "The tomb will know if your heart is ready." The explorers exchanged glances. Rian studied the glowing entrance. He felt a strange pull, a voice inside his mind that whispered of secrets waiting to be revealed. Mara stepped closer to the light, reaching out with her hand, feeling a warmth that was more comforting than threatening. "We have traveled too far to turn back now," Rian said firmly. "We will be careful, Talik, but we must see what is." Inside, Talik sighed and stepped aside. "Do not say I did not warn you," he murmured. Then he vanished into the dunes as quietly as he had appeared. Rian took a deep breath. "Ready?" he asked his team. "Ready," Mara said, and the others nodded. They entered the tomb. The air inside was different from the desert cool, almost soft, and filled with a gentle hum. The flame was everywhere, not like fire that burned and consumed, but like light that moved like water. It wrapped around the walls, flowing along the corridors, guiding them deeper into the tomb. Mara raised her scanner, but it could not read the flame. It passed through every sensor, leaving only a warm glow in its path. "It's alive," she whispered. "I've never seen anything like it. This is something extraordinary." The walls were covered in murals. Humans walked among stars, standing on strange planets, leading creatures unknown to them, protecting worlds. The images seemed to move slightly, shifting as if the story was alive. Rian felt a thrill in his chest. These are humans, he said softly. But they are not like us. They are stronger, braver, extraordinary. A sudden draft of warm air blew past, and the flame brightened for a moment. It felt like the tomb was watching them, acknowledging their presence. Rian's heart beat faster. Mara, keep your eyes open. Something tells me this tomb has been waiting a very long time for us. Mara nodded. She felt the same pull, a connection to the light, to the murals, to the history that was not written in any book. They were standing at the edge of a mystery that could change everything they knew about humans and the galaxy. Outside, the desert remained silent. The tomb burned with its eternal flame, glowing against the red sands like a promise. The explorers had entered, but already they knew their journey had only just begun. The tomb's corridors twisted and turned, deeper than the explorers had imagined. The walls glowed softly with the eternal flame, casting shadows that moved like living creatures. Rian led the way, his hand brushing against the warm stone. Every step felt heavier than the last, as if the tomb itself wanted them to pause and think. Mara followed closely, her eyes scanning the murals that lined the walls. Each image told a story. Humans standing tall among alien skies, guiding strange creatures, building cities that shimmered under unfamiliar suns. It was like looking at a future that had already happened. She felt a shiver run down her spine. Rian, she said quietly, these murals, they are showing us something. Not just the past, but what humans could become. Rian nodded, keeping his focus on the path ahead. We have to be careful, he said. This tomb is testing us. I can feel it. A sudden sound echoed through the corridor, a soft, low hum that seemed to come from the walls themselves. The flame flickered and twisted around them, as if curious about the humans walking inside. Mara's heart raced. It knows we are here, she whispered. It's alive. As they moved forward, the corridor widened into a large chamber. The walls were covered in golden symbols that shimmered in the flame's light. In the center of the room was a pedestal, and on it rested a small crystal. It glowed with the same golden flame that filled the tomb. Rian approached it cautiously. This must be the core, he said. The source of the light. Before he could touch it, the flame around the crystal surged upward, forming shapes. In the air, shadows of humans appeared, walking through stars, fighting unknown dangers, protecting planets. The images moved and changed, as if telling a story directly to them. Rian felt a strange pressure in his mind, a pull toward understanding. The visions. Mara stepped closer to the crystal, her hands trembling slightly. It's showing us our potential, she said. Humans are not just explorers. We are meant for more. To protect, to lead, to rise above fear. Suddenly, a voice echoed in the chamber. It was not a human voice, nor a sound from the walls. It was inside their minds, clear and gentle. Only the brave may walk further. Only those with courage and unity may take the flame with them. Rian looked at Mara. This is a test, he said. We have to prove ourselves worthy. The chamber shifted. The floor became uneven, forming paths over glowing pits. The walls seemed to move, creating illusions. Mara saw herself falling into the pits, surrounded by shadows that whispered doubts. Rian saw the flame fade around them, leaving him alone. In darkness, both felt fear, the kind that grips the heart and freezes the mind. But then they remembered each other. Rian reached out to Mara, and she took his hand. Together, they stepped forward. The flame reacted instantly, brightening and forming a steady path through the illusions. The tomb was testing their trust, their courage, and their unity. They moved carefully, never letting go of each other's hands, and slowly the illusions faded At the far end of the chamber, the walls opened into a new space. It was larger, brighter, and filled with the golden flame. In the center was another pedestal, taller and more magnificent. The crystal here was larger, pulsing like a heartbeat. Rian approached it with reverence. As he touched it, the flame rose. Around them, warm and protective, images of humans appeared again, this time showing them working together, solving problems, facing dangers with cleverness and bravery. Mara understood immediately. It's showing us that humans succeed not just because of strength, but because of courage and cooperation, she said. A soft wind blew through the chamber, carrying a feeling of peace. The voice returned, this time warmer. You have passed the test. You may carry the flame, but remember, it is not just light. It is hope, guidance, and responsibility. Use it wisely. Rian and Mara exchanged a glance, understanding the weight of the moment. The eternal flame was not just a treasure to be taken. It was a force meant to inspire and protect. Outside the chamber, the desert sun was setting. The light on the horizon mirrored the glow of the flame inside the tomb. For a moment, the explorers felt a connection to something greater than themselves. Mara held the smaller crystal carefully, feeling its warmth. Rian rested his hand on her shoulder. We have a responsibility now, he said. We have to share what we've learned, but also protect it. They began their journey back through the tomb, the flame guiding them safely. The illusions no longer appeared, and the murals seemed to smile in quiet approval. Every step was filled with wonder and hope. The tomb had tested them, and they had passed on as they stepped out into the desert night. The stars stretched endlessly above them. The tomb burned behind them with its eternal flame, a light that would never fade. Rian looked at the sky and felt a thrill in his chest. Humans had always dreamed of reaching the stars. Now, it seemed, the stars were waiting for them to lead. Mara smiled beside him, holding the crystal tightly. This is only the beginning, she said. We have a long journey ahead. The desert night was calm, but the explorers knew the flame had chosen them for a purpose. A new chapter for humanity was about to begin, and they were ready to step into it. The explorers walked back through the desert, the night sky filled with stars that shimmered like distant fires. The crystal they carried glowed faintly, lighting their path. Mara held it close, feeling warmth and a quiet power. Rian glanced at her, sensing the weight of what they had discovered. The tomb had given them more than a treasure. It had given them a responsibility. Suddenly, a shadow moved across the sand. Talik, the alien trader who had warned them earlier, emerged from behind a dune. His dark eyes studied them carefully, and he raised a hand in greeting. I thought I would find you here, he said calmly. The tomb has chosen you, has it not? Rian nodded. We passed the tests inside. We understand now that this flame is not just light. It is something greater. It guides, it teaches, it protects. Talik's expression softened. Few humans ever see it. Even fewer understand it. But now the real journey begins. The tomb was only the first step. Mara stepped forward. The flame. It showed us visions of humans protecting worlds. It wants us to use its power wisely. But how? How can we know we are ready? Talik looked out across the desert, his robes fluttering in the wind. Readiness is not a gift of the tomb. It is earned in the world outside. There are forces that would take this flame for themselves. You must learn to guard it, to lead, and to act with courage when danger comes. Before Rian could respond, the ground trembled. From the dunes nearby, a group of alien figures emerged. They were tall and slender, their armor reflecting the starlight. Their eyes glowed faintly, and they carried strange weapons that hummed with energy. Talik tensed. They are hunters of the flame. They follow its light across worlds. If they take it, the balance will be broken. You must not let them reach it. The explorers formed a line, standing between the intruders and the tomb. Rian's hand hovered near his sidearm, though he knew this was a fight unlike any they had faced before. Mara held the crystal high, its light growing brighter as the aliens approached. The taller alien, clearly their leader, spoke in a language none could understand. Yet the meaning was clear. They wanted the flame. Rian stepped forward. "We will not give it to you," he said firmly. "This flame is not a weapon. It is hope, and we will protect it." The aliens advanced cautiously, testing their courage. Mara felt the crystal pulse in her hands, responding to their fear and determination. She realized that the flame could do more than glow. It could protect them, create illusions, and guide their actions if they trusted it. As the first alien reached out, the flame surged. Shadows of light formed around the explorers, creating shapes that confused and blocked the intruders. The aliens hesitated, unsure of what they were facing. Rian and Mara moved as one, guiding the flame with their minds, creating paths and barriers that kept the attackers at bay. Talik watched silently, nodding. "It is responding to your courage and unity. Use it wisely, but do not let pride blind you." The alien leader roared, and the rest pressed forward. The explorers continued to move in harmony, trusting each other and the flame. With each step, the illusions grew stronger. The aliens stumbled, confused by images of themselves, surrounded by fire and shadows that were not real. Finally, the leader raised his hands and signaled retreat. The group of hunters vanished into the desert, leaving only footprints that the wind quickly erased. The explorers breathed heavily, relieved but alert. Mara lowered the crystal. "It worked," she said. "The flame protected us, but it wanted our courage too. It tested us even outside the tomb." Rian nodded. "We passed another test, but Talik is right. This is only the beginning. The galaxy will know about the flame soon, and not everyone will be as careful as we are." Talik stepped forward. "You must travel with caution. The flame is a guide, but it cannot fight every battle. You must be clever, brave, and united. Learn from every challenge, and the flame will help you protect the worlds it touched before." The explorers set up a small camp near the tomb to rest. The desert night was calm, but they remained vigilant. Mara studied the crystal carefully, tracing the faint patterns that pulsed along its surface. She felt the responsibility of carrying the flame, and she also felt hope. Humans could rise above fear, above danger, and achieve greatness. Rian looked up at the stars. "This flame is proof," he said softly. "Humans are meant to protect, to lead, and to rise when darkness comes. We have a chance to shape the future." As the explorers rested, the tomb behind them continued to burn with its eternal flame. Its glow reached across the dunes like a promise, a reminder that courage and wisdom could overcome even the greatest threats. The hunters had retreated, but the challenge was only beginning. The universe was vast, and humans were only beginning to realize their true potential. Mara whispered to herself, "We are ready for what comes next." Rian smiled faintly. "Yes, together we will face it." The desert night held its silence, but the explorers knew the flame had chosen them for a purpose. A journey of courage, unity, and hope was just beginning, and they were ready to walk it. The sun rose slowly over the desert, casting long shadows across the dunes. Rian and Mara packed their camp quickly, the crystal pulsing softly in Mara's hands. The tomb stood behind them, its eternal flame shining brightly even in the daylight. Talik followed silently, his eyes scanning the horizon for any signs of danger. "We need to move carefully," Talik said. "The tomb does not reveal all its secrets at once. There are chambers below that test the mind and the heart. Not everyone who enters returns unchanged." Rian nodded. We are ready. The flame has guided us this far. I trust it will continue to protect us. They began walking toward a narrow path that led down into a hidden valley. The desert stretched around them, empty and silent, but the air carried a sense of anticipation. Mara held the crystal higher, letting its warmth guide their steps. After several hours, they reached the entrance to a new chamber. The walls were carved with strange symbols, different from the murals inside the tomb. The symbols shimmered faintly, as if alive. A low hum filled the air, vibrating through the stones and into their bones. This chamber, Talik said, is older than the tomb itself. It holds memories of the first humans who carried the flame. They faced trials that tested not only courage but understanding. Rian stepped forward and touched the wall. The symbols reacted instantly, glowing brighter where his fingers made contact. A vision appeared before their eyes. They saw humans in strange landscapes, solving puzzles, working together, and facing dangers that seemed impossible. Each trial required intelligence, empathy, and patience. Mara studied the vision closely. The flame does more than protect, she said. It teaches. Every challenge we face is meant to prepare us for something greater. The chamber shifted suddenly. The floor moved, revealing steps that led deeper underground. A cool wind blew up from the opening, carrying a faint smell of ancient stone. Talik led the way, warning them to move slowly. The deeper they went, the brighter the flame in the crystal became. It seemed to respond to the tomb itself, lighting paths that were hidden in shadow. The walls were lined with mirrors, reflecting endless images of themselves. At first, the reflections were normal, but then they began to change. Rian saw a version of himself that faltered, lost in darkness. Mara saw herself giving up, letting fear take over. The explorers understood immediately. The tomb was testing their inner strength. They had faced danger outside, but this was different. This was a challenge from within. Rian took a deep breath and focused. "We have come this far," he said. "The flame is with us. We cannot let fear guide us." Mara nodded, holding the crystal tightly. "We are stronger together. The flame shows us the way, but we have to believe in ourselves." As they moved forward, the mirrors began to fade. The illusions disappeared, leaving only the solid stone walls and the glowing path. The tomb acknowledged their courage and focus, rewarding them with clarity and direction. At the end of the passage, they entered a vast chamber filled with light. In the center was a pool of golden liquid that shimmered like the surface of a star. The crystal pulsed in Mara's hands, responding to the light of the pool. Talik stepped forward. "This is the heart of the tomb," he said. "It holds the knowledge of every human who ever carried the flame. It shows not only what you are capable of, but what humanity can achieve." Mara knelt near the pool, looking into its surface. She saw visions of humans exploring distant worlds, forming alliances with other beings, and solving problems that once seemed impossible. The images were full of hope and determination. Rian watched her and felt a sense of awe. "It is more than a test," he said. "It is a gift. It shows us what we must strive to become." Suddenly, the pool rippled, and a voice filled the chamber. It was calm, wise, and full of authority. "You have come far, but the journey is not over. The flame is a guide, a protector, and a teacher. Take its lessons to the world. Use courage, wisdom, and unity to face challenges. Humanity's potential is boundless if you believe in one another." Mara and Rian bowed slightly, feeling the weight and honor of the words. The crystal glowed brighter, absorbing the wisdom of the chamber. They understood that their mission was not only to protect the flame, but also to carry its guidance to others. As they turned to leave, the chamber shifted again. Paths appeared, leading to tunnels they had not noticed before. Each path held the promise of new discoveries, new challenges, and new lessons. Talik smiled. The tomb will always test those who seek knowledge, but you have proven your worth. From here, every step you take will shape the future. The explorers walked slowly back toward the surface, their minds full of visions and possibilities. The desert sun was high, and the eternal flame of the tomb shone proudly behind them. Mara held the crystal close, feeling the warmth of the lessons they had learned. Rian walked beside her, determined and confident. The tomb had shown them courage, unity, and wisdom. It had revealed visions of humanity's potential and tested their hearts. But above all, it had reminded them that the flame was not just a light to carry, it was a responsibility to protect, a guide to follow, and a hope to share. As they emerged into the desert, the wind carried the sound of the flame, whispering promises of adventure and challenges yet to come. Mara looked at Rian. "We are ready," she said simply. Rian smiled. "Yes, and the journey is only beginning." Together, they walked toward the horizon, the tomb behind them burning with its eternal flame. The desert stretched ahead, full of mystery, danger, and hope. Humanity's story was being written, and they were the authors of the next chapter. The desert sun was high, and the heat pressed down on Rian, Mara, and Talik as they moved away from the tomb. The crystal in Mara's hands glowed softly, guiding them along a path that seemed invisible to the untrained eye. The wind shifted the sand around them, creating new patterns and hiding old ones. Each step felt like a journey into the unknown, yet the flame inside the crystal gave them confidence. "We cannot stay in one place for too long," Talik said. "Hunters of the flame may return, and others may sense its power. We must move quickly and wisely." Rian nodded. "We have the lessons of the tomb: courage, unity, and trust. The flame will guide us through danger, but we must be alert." As they walked, the horizon began to shimmer with heat. At first, it seemed like a mirage, but soon, shapes emerged from the waves of light. Large mechanical beasts moved across the sand. They were strange, like a combination of animal and machine, with glowing eyes and limbs that churned the sand. The explorers froze, understanding immediately that these were no ordinary machines. They were sent to track the flame. Mara held the crystal higher, and it pulsed brightly. The light seemed to confuse the mechanical creatures. Their glowing eyes flickered as they hesitated. Rian stepped forward and raised his hand. "Stay close to the flame. Trust it. It will protect us if we act as one." The machines advanced cautiously, but the explorers moved as a team. Mara used the crystal to create blinding flashes of light, forcing the machines to pause. Rian and Talik used their knowledge of the desert to guide their path, leading the creatures over dunes that slowed them down and into traps of shifting sand. The fight was not one of weapons but of wit and courage. The flame responded to their determination, creating illusions that made the machines see paths that were not real. They stumbled and faltered, giving the explorers precious time to escape. After several tense hours, the mechanical hunters gave up. Their glowing eyes dimmed, and they retreated toward the horizon. Rian exhaled deeply. "The flame protected us again, but we cannot assume it will always be enough. There are stronger forces out there." Mara looked at the crystal, feeling its warmth and power. "It does more than protect," she said. "It teaches. Every challenge shows us how to move together, how to act with courage and intelligence." Talik nodded. "You are learning quickly. But the real test is not just surviving. It is knowing what to do with the flame, how to carry it without fear, and how to inspire others. That is the purpose of those who hold it." The explorers continued across the desert, moving toward a range of distant mountains that seemed to rise suddenly from the flat land. The path was treacherous, with jagged rocks and deep crevices. The flame in the crystal guided them safely, showing subtle lines in the stone that indicated stable footing. As night fell, the stars sparkled above them like countless eyes watching their journey. They set up a small camp near a rocky outcrop. The flame glowed softly, casting warm light across their faces. Mara spoke quietly, almost to herself. The tomb showed us courage, wisdom, and unity. But these machines, they are testing our strength outside. The universe is not safe, yet it feels like the flame wants us to grow stronger. Rian nodded. We are not alone. The tomb gave us guidance, and the flame protects us. Every step is a lesson. Every challenge is a way to prepare for something greater. Talik sat near the fire, his eyes reflecting the glow of the crystal. Humanity has potential that few can imagine. The flame is not just a weapon, not just light. It is hope. Those who carry it shape the future, but it is fragile. If those who hold it are divided or fearful. The night passed slowly, with the desert wind singing softly around them. In the darkness, the explorers shared their thoughts, planning the next steps of their journey. They knew that beyond the mountains lay new challenges and perhaps new allies. They understood that the flame was not theirs to possess alone. It was a responsibility to protect, a mission to guide others, and a symbol of what humanity could achieve. When dawn came, the crystal pulsed more brightly than ever, as if sensing the promise of a new day. Mara held it high, feeling its warmth and energy flow into her. Rian looked at the horizon, where the mountains stood like silent guardians. This journey is far from over, he said. The flame will guide us, but we must face every challenge with courage and wisdom. Only then can we fulfill the purpose of the tomb. Mara nodded. We will, together. Talik stood, brushing sand from his robes. The path ahead is uncertain. There will be trials, but also opportunities to prove your worth. Remember, the flame responds to the heart, not the hands. Trust in it and in each other. With the sun rising behind them, the explorers began climbing toward the mountains. The desert stretched endlessly below, but the crystal's light shone like a beacon of hope. The trials of the tomb were only the beginning. Outside, the universe awaited with dangers, mysteries, and challenges that would test their courage and wisdom even further. And the flame burned eternal, a guide, protector, and teacher for those brave enough to carry it forward. The mountains rose like giants against the sky, their jagged peaks sharp and cold. Rian, Mara, and Talik climbed carefully, the desert behind them fading into a soft golden haze. The crystal in Mara's hands pulsed brightly, illuminating paths hidden among the rocks. Every step demanded attention, but the flame's light gave them courage. This terrain is dangerous, Talik said, but it is also full of answers. The tomb guided you to this place for a reason. The mountains hide secrets that cannot be revealed elsewhere. Rian wiped sweat from his brow. I feel it. The flame is stronger here. It wants us to understand something, but I cannot tell what yet. Mara nodded. Every challenge teaches us. The desert tested our courage. The tomb tested our hearts. Perhaps the mountains will test our minds. As they climbed, the wind grew stronger, carrying a strange, faint sound. It was like the whisper of ancient voices, echoing through the stone. The explorers stopped, listening carefully. The sound grew clearer, a rhythm of steps, like a hidden army moving without making noise. Shadows flickered between the rocks, and they knew they were not alone. Suddenly, a shape appeared above them, hovering in the air. It was an ethereal being, made of shimmering light. Its form was humanoid, but its features were abstract, shifting constantly. The flame in Mara's crystal pulsed wildly as the being descended, and a voice filled their minds without speaking aloud. You carry the eternal flame. You have faced tests of courage, wisdom, and unity. But the final trial is not simple. To hold the flame is to understand the balance between creation and destruction, between hope and fear. Rian stepped forward, feeling a mix of awe and determination. "We are ready. Tell us what we must do." The being's form shifted again, revealing a landscape within its light, a vision of the future. They saw cities among the stars, people working together, and threats that could destroy worlds. Then they saw shadows, places where fear and greed had taken over, extinguishing hope. Mara felt a chill. The flame shows both paths, one of light, one of darkness. We must choose wisely. The being nodded, its light intensifying. Your journey is not only to survive, but to guide. Others will follow the flame. You must demonstrate that hope and courage are stronger than fear. Only then will the flame reach its true potential. Suddenly, the mountain trembled. Rocks fell from above, and the wind became violent. The being vanished as quickly as it appeared, leaving the explorers alone. The path ahead was blocked by a narrow canyon, jagged and steep. They realized the final trial was immediate. They had to climb through the dangerous passage while maintaining focus, unity, and courage. Rian led the way, testing each step carefully. Mara followed, the crystal casting warm light on the rocks. Talik helped guide them, pointing out loose stones and hidden footholds. The wind tried to push them back, but together they moved steadily. Halfway through the canyon, they encountered a glowing barrier of energy, pulsing in rhythm with the crystal. Rian reached out, and the barrier reacted, showing visions of doubt, images of failure, fear, and separation. The explorers felt panic for a moment, but Mara raised the crystal high, letting its light shine strong. "Focus on unity," she said. "We are together. The flame guides us. We will not fall." The barrier shimmered and began to fade, recognizing their courage and trust in one another. They pressed forward, climbing higher until the canyon opened into a hidden plateau. The view was breathtaking. Valleys stretched into mist, rivers of light shimmered across the land, and the stars above seemed closer than ever. At the center of the plateau was a stone pedestal. The crystal pulsed in Mara's hands as they approached. On the pedestal lay an ancient scroll, glowing faintly. Talik stepped forward. "This is the knowledge the mountains hold. The tomb prepared you to receive it. These teachings will guide humanity's path." Mara opened the scroll carefully. It contained symbols and words that spoke of balance, courage, wisdom, and the importance of hope. The flame's energy connected with the scroll, and the crystal absorbed its knowledge. Every lesson they had learned in the tomb, in the desert, and on the mountains came together in a single understanding. Rian looked at Mara and Talik. "We understand now. The flame is not just protection, it is guidance. It teaches us how to face challenges, how to inspire others, and how to carry hope even in darkness." Talik smiled. "You have passed the final trial. The mountains tested your courage, wisdom, and unity to their fullest. The flame now flows through you completely, stronger than ever. You are ready for the journey ahead." The wind calmed, and the stars reflected on the plateau. The crystal glowed with steady warmth, no longer flickering with uncertainty. The explorers felt a deep sense of purpose. They knew the flame's lessons were not only for themselves, but for all of humanity. Mara looked at the horizon, where the mountains met the sky. "We have learned much, but our mission is just beginning. The universe is wide, and the flame must reach others who need its guidance." Rian nodded. "The tomb, the desert, the mountains, they have prepared us. Now it is time to share what we have learned and face the challenges that await beyond this plateau." Talik placed a hand on Rian's shoulder. "Remember, the flame responds to courage, wisdom, and unity. Wherever you go, these will guide you. Trust in them and in each other. Together, The three explorers began their descent from the mountains, the crystal's light leading the way. The trials had strengthened them, and the knowledge of the scroll gave them confidence. The flame burned eternal, ready to guide humanity through darkness and into hope. The journey down the mountains was calm compared to the trials they had faced. Rian, Mara, and Talik moved carefully, the crystal in Mara's hands glowing steadily. The flame had grown stronger, not only as a guide but as a symbol of their courage, wisdom, and unity. They knew the final challenge still awaited them, though it was not a force of sand, stone, or machines. It was the universe itself, and the choices they would make to protect the flame dot as they reached the base of the mountains. A great shadow appeared over the horizon. Dark clouds swirled unnaturally, moving against the wind. From within the darkness, strange shakes began to rise. They were not machines, not living creatures, but a force of energy that seemed to feed on fear and despair. The flame within Mara's crystal pulsed urgently, as if warning them. Rian took a deep breath. This is the final trial. The tomb, the desert, the mountains, they were only preparation. This force tests our hearts. Mara held the crystal higher, its light shining against the darkness. We will face it together. The flame is our strength, Talik nodded. Remember, courage, wisdom, and unity. That is what the flame requires. Fear will not defeat it, but doubt can weaken it. The shadow moved closer, swirling like a storm of darkness. It spoke without words, a sound that seemed to echo in their minds. Give the flame. Fear will control you. Let hope fade, and the universe will belong to me. Rian stepped forward. We will not give in. The flame is not just ours. It belongs to everyone who dares to hope. It will never be yours. The dark force attacked, sending waves of cold energy toward them. Mara raised the crystal, and its light exploded outward. The darkness recoiled, hissing and twisting. The explorers felt the pressure of the attack, but they stood firm, united. Talik raised his hands, focusing the energy of the mountains, the desert, and the tomb into a protective shield around them. Focus on unity, he shouted. The flame responds to trust and courage. Do not let fear divide us. Rian felt the crystal's warmth flow into him. He imagined the lessons of the tomb, the desert, and the mountains. He felt the courage of every step, the wisdom gained from each challenge, and the strength of standing together. With one deep breath, he shouted, "We are not afraid." The crystal blazed with light, more brilliant than the sun. The dark energy tried to resist, but it could not withstand the combined power of courage, wisdom, and unity. It shrieked, twisting violently, and then shattered into countless fragments that disappeared into the sky. The storm of darkness vanished, leaving a calm that felt almost sacred. The sun shone brightly, illuminating the desert and mountains in golden light. The explorers fell to their knees, exhausted but alive. The flame pulsed softly in Mara's hands, steady and eternal. Mara smiled, tears of relief in her eyes. We did it. The flame is safe. Rian looked around, feeling the weight of their journey lift. We faced every trial. The tomb, the desert, the mountains, and now the darkness. Every step taught us something. Every challenge made us stronger. And together, we have protected the flame. Talik nodded. The flame has chosen you. It will guide humanity, but it depends on those who carry it to act with courage, wisdom, and unity. You have proven yourselves worthy. The lessons you have learned are not only for you, but for everyone who will follow. The explorers rose, the crystal glowing like a beacon. The desert stretched endlessly before them, but they no longer feared it. The flame illuminated the path, showing new possibilities, new challenges, and new hopes. Rian turned to Mara and Talik. We must continue. The flame will guide others. There are worlds to reach, people to inspire, and darkness to challenge. Our journey does not end here. Mara nodded, feeling the warmth of the crystal in her hands. We have learned what it means to be guardians of hope. We will carry the flame to the farthest corners of the universe. Talek smiled, placing his hand on the crystal. Remember the lessons. Courage in danger, wisdom in uncertainty, unity in trials. These are the keys to every challenge ahead. With that, the three explorers began walking across the desert. The wind was gentle, carrying the scent of the mountains and the warmth of the tomb behind them. The crystal's light shone bright, casting long shadows that moved with them, a symbol of their journey and the eternal flame within Dot as they disappeared over the horizon. The desert seemed to glow softly in the light of the crystal. The tomb had been only the beginning. The desert and mountains had shaped them, and the darkness had tested them. Now, they were ready to guide others, protect hope, and show that humanity could face any challenge when courage, wisdom, and unity burned brightly together. The eternal flame had survived. Humanity had a beacon to follow, and the explorers knew that as long as they stayed true to the lessons they had learned, no darkness could ever extinguish the light.